Okay, so this video is for biology and it's about the nervous system. The nervous system is the master controlling system of your body. It controls and has its finger on every single part of your body, allows everything to happen. So there's two main divisions. The central nervous system, think of the center of your body. It includes what you see there, that's a brain and the spinal cord. The brain and the spinal cord is in the central nervous system. The other section of the nervous system is called the peripheral nervous system. So anything outside of the brain and the spinal cord, it's on the periphery. So pretty much this is just the nerves are in your peripheral nervous system. So back at this picture, the brain, the spinal cord are in your central nervous system. Everything else, these other little yellow lines, those are the nerves. So this is your brain. And if we click on this link here, I'll show you that there are different lobes of the brain: frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital. So this is all the lobes of the cerebellum. Your cerebrum. And your cerebellum is back here. This website's kind of fun because if you click on that part of the brain, it will tell you what that part of the brain is responsible for. So your cerebellum helps allow us to stand upright, keep our balance, move around. Everything with balance and movement and coordination is located in the cerebellum. If you're injured in the cerebellum, it's going to impact your movement, maybe your muscle tone or your gait. Temporal lobes, you can see there, it recognizes and processes sound and understand and produces speech. So if you damage the temporal lobe in some way, you could injure your hearing, your language, even the ability to recognize a familiar person's face. So that's that image of the brain. You can either, essentially this image shows if you cut the brain in half and looked on the inside, what you would see here is the brain stem, some other parts of the brain called the hippocampus, pituitary gland, but we're not going to get into all those details here. All right. Other parts of the nervous system are your sensory organs per se. So the first one here is sight. Your eyes are a special part of the nervous system. The blind spot is created where the optic nerve, attaches to the back of the eye. Hearing and balance, as you can see in this image, this is the ear, is a special sense of the nervous system. Taste, so we're talking about taste buds. Your smell, so your nasal cavity is actually lined with receptors that pick up and sense smell. And then lastly, touch, our ability to sense hot and cold or pain with our skin. Through our skin, there's receptors of the nervous system located there. The cells of the nervous system are called neurons. Neurons are the cells of the nervous system. They send messages to other neurons or even muscle cells or glands. So when you put your finger on something that's hot accidentally, there's going to be neurons communicating with each other to tell your muscles to lift up in your hand so you don't permanently injure yourself or hurt yourself even worse. So neurons. Okay, so this next image shows the peripheral nervous system nerves. Okay, so you can see here this person is hurting their finger, pricking their finger. Okay, so this A is this, in red I drew a nerve. It's sending that message to the spinal cord. That spinal cord is then sending a response back to the muscle in the finger, telling you to lift your finger up. So sensory nerves send impulses to the nervous system. That's represented by the red in this picture, the red line. The motor nerves, that would be the green in this picture, send impulses from the central nervous system, I'm going to abbreviate here, CNS, central nervous system, to a muscle or gland. In this case, it's telling the muscle in your finger to lift up. The cool thing about motor neurons, they can be controlled voluntarily, meaning I can decide to lift my hands up, okay? Or I can decide to move my mouth and talk. I can also decide to take a breath in and out. but they could also be controlled involuntarily. Is that a word? Yes. So like, for example, I have a picture of a heart there. Your nervous system controls your heartbeat. So that's good. It's good that you don't have to think about making your heart beat. Reflexes. These are involuntary. Voluntary responses of your nervous system. So you just do them without even thinking. Some examples. I have a picture here of a grasp reflex in an infant. If you've ever met a newborn, a child that's a month or younger, if you put your finger in the palm of their hand, they will grasp it. It's really cool. So if you've never tried that before with a newborn, and if you know, don't go up to a random person and ask them if you could do this. But if you know the baby, put your finger in their hand and they'll grasp it. Another reflex that babies show is called the Moro reflex. Now I should also mention that reflexes show the health of a nervous system. Oops. So if the reflexes aren't working properly, that could indicate a problem. Why is this not working? With the actual nerve functioning of the nerves or the communication in the nervous system. I'm trying to open this link here. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So this is the Moro reflex.
This is the Moro reflex by having him relax unsuspecting and then give him a sudden stimulus, and there's a good Moro. Quiet.
Moro reflex. So what he's doing is he's taking that infant, okay, head right here, body right here, and if you gently act like you're gonna drop it lower, not really drop it, but just slowly drop it. The infant, you can see their hands go out like this, to kind of a protective reflex. Watch this.
Headline, midline, and then just give the stimulus of dropping him back a few inches.
There we go. That is a really fun one to watch an infant do. I wouldn't try this one unless it's your own child. Because if you grab just an infant and you start doing this, woo! Unless it's like your niece or nephew, people are going to not want you to be around them. And also, this one, I wrote this one, which if I had you in class, I would do it. It's called the startle reflex. So, for some reason, maybe you get sideswiped a vehicle. Ah! Some of you might scream, or if somebody suddenly scares you, you might close your eyes, you might cringe. I would scream if somebody scared me. That is a startle reflex. It's protective in nature, okay? Covering yourself, screaming, that's the startle reflex. So that is the end of the nervous system.